Well, I'm on my hike and I gotta show you, this is, I'm not from a region of the country where fires is an issue. Back in Wisconsin, we have tornadoes and thunderstorms. Never had fires. And when we moved out to the Pacific Northwest, it's not that there's fires every year, but around us there's fires. Look at how dry. Look at this. This is awful. Look at that. One lightning strike. And that's why when we moved out here, we would be out in the woods. And all of a sudden you'd see a stand of burned trees. We're like, what the heck? Well, lightning strikes. Hit these dry spots and poof, they just go up. And the forestry service just lets them burn out for the most part. That's what they do, unless they endanger livestock and people. That's the deal with the forest fires. It's amazing. But this is so dry. And that's why when you look in the horizon here this morning, Montana has fires going on everywhere. Everywhere. And you can't pray for rain, because what comes with rain? Lightning. And you would need so much rain in order to saturate this ground and save it. Look at that. Now I want to make a point here. Look at these trees. See this? See how they're scorched? And right next to it is a burnt stump. And there's burnt stump there, burnt stump over there, and all these trees on the bottoms are scorched. Lightning strike. Must have been a really small lightning strike, and just burnt up what was ever on the ground. Didn't get too far up the trees, because the trees are obviously still standing, but that's just nature's way. Look at that. In the middle of nowhere, you find these stands of burnt areas. And when it's dry like this, these areas get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the sad thing is, as I'm walking, notice that there's not a lot of green. What are the animals eating? How are they surviving? This is when we see big game animals like mountain lion and bear. They start wandering outside their territory looking for food. And where do they find food? Well, they find food in where people live. In farmers, like where the chicken coop is, where farmers have their goats, gardens. And that's when the intermingling, even when you live in a really wild area like this, and we've got millions of acres, they will travel when they are starving. And that's when bad things happen, because people will wake up in the morning and guess what's in their backyard? A grizzly bear, a mountain lion, and they freak out because they don't understand that these animals are hungry, and they're not there to eat you. All of a sudden everybody's like, danger, get the gun and shoot them. No, they're hungry. And we can safely scare them away or call Fish and Game, but it's a really difficult time for animals and people when in the height of dry season. This is what happens. It's really sad. Another thing I want to point out, when you walk in these wilderness areas, here's like, it looks like a road, right? Logging. Remember, we are in the Pacific Northwest, and logging is huge. So you can go miles and miles back into the middle of nowhere, and you could run into an old logging road, or what I call them the skidder trails, where they were hauling out the timber. And it is amazing where these axemen go to harvest their timber. It's amazing. You saw the Axeman show. I mean, that in itself was something else. A lot of that was kind of hyped up and staged as the seasons progressed, unfortunately, but that's what they got to do for television. It's like with anything, they got to hype it up. But the reality is, there are real axemen out there that harvest wood in really dangerous places in all conditions. I mean, when I work at the hospital, I take care of a lot of these old axemen. The stories they tell me, you know, snow over their head where they would have to dig in to reach the base of the tree to cut it. And they're in the hole where the tree is. And they're like, you got to get out of the hole so it doesn't kick back and kill you. And so many missed calls. I mean, you know, branches falling from way up there. Boom! Right into the ground. Misses them by inches. These guys have a dangerous job. Dangerous job. Because look at what they're cutting. You know, and look at what they're cutting in. Sloped. Uneven ground. We were dealing with big timber. Lots of old branches and snags. Wouldn't want their job. No, gotta give those guys a lot of respect. All right, I gotta get out of here. Enough talking. Okay, before I turn the camera off and start my other vlog of coming down, and you may be asking, Starry, how do you find your way around without a compass? Because I don't have a compass today, and I didn't go really far on my little jaunt. But a couple key things when you are out in the wilderness, and really these are survival tips. When I started my walk this morning, you know, obviously you pay attention to the sun, and I paid attention to the whole landscape, the overall landscape, and then I picked out key markers. So over there, it's a big rock face. So I thought, okay, that's going to be my go-to, the big rock face. And then I climbed up, and then I traversed over. Now, when I started traversing over, you never know with the logging roads or whatever is going to lead you. It can be very deceptive. So then I started making my way down, keeping in mind these mountains, where the lake is. And then lo and behold, I started coming through this thick stuff. There's my marker right there. And I want you to look at this, because Mr. Hilder would be very proud of me, because he thinks I don't know where I'm going half the time. Look, there's my car right down there. Dead on. Dead on. And it just comes from really years and years and years, 25 plus years of being out in the wilderness and just learning how to navigate. And I don't advocate being without a compass, but if you are, and even on a short trip, pay attention. Get big markers. Because you want to find that car when you come back, right? Okay, there we go. Starry found her way home. All right, I'll show you the breakfast of champions. Now pay attention, because Starry is giving out her nursing health and wellness advice. This is made out of almond milk, and it's got all the active live bacteria in it, gluten-free. It's vegan, cholesterol-free. This stuff is awesome. And what I do is I've got some grapes in here, and I put some of my nuts in here. Isn't that wonderful? And I don't have to add anything. I don't bring my kefir with me. So this really takes the place for my probiotic. It gives me some protein with my nuts. It gives me my antioxidants in my fruit. Isn't that wonderful? So that's what's going to get me going for the bike ride. Right there. Nummy.